What's going on, everybody? Hit pause back for the next part of this tutorial. So we have officially gotten our list of crap, so let's go ahead and I'm actually going to change this up. All I'm going to do on my first filter is actually I'm going to keep this. I'm only going to check. I don't actually need these anymore. I'm only going to check my whether or not they can cast. Now I could do the distance check here too, just in case. So let's see, max lock on range. Let's go ahead and do that just for safety's sake. Probably don't need it again because I shouldn't be picking anything up, but you never know when something could go officially wrong there. So what I'll do is I will say get distance to, okay, it's target, self, other actor, alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say is this less than, I probably could do less than or equal to, but that's nitpicking. And then we're going to run a branch. Throw this here like so. Okay, so if it casts, yes, we'll get the distance. If that distance is less than our max lock on range, then we'll go ahead and check if it already contains it, which again I don't think this is actually necessary, and then we're going to do this. Okay, so this over here is going to be our one of our next filters when we actually go through, because remember, this is just a blanket list of getting all of the pawns that match our criteria, the first set of criteria, which is it that right, is it the right kind of thing that we can lock onto, and is it close enough. That's it. Okay, so when this is done, what we want to do is we're going to get our lock on target list, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the length here, and I only want to move forward if this length is greater than 0. Okay, did that hook up? Okay, so I only want to move forward if this is greater than 0 when this completes. Okay, probably pull this back to like right here or something. Again, I could do a reroute node. So now, if I didn't find anything, we're pretty much done. Okay, I want this to go nowhere. So the first thing we want to do now is run this check on the item on the guy first. Okay, so in order to make this a little bit nicer, I'm going to take this entire check here, including this guy, and I'm going to collapse that node down to here, so that's my actual check. Okay, makes things quite a bit nicer. So if we're greater than 0, now we're going to check, hey, are you in my view, right? And what I can do is put that here, is in view. Okay, and that's what this collapse graph, you can hover over it here, and you can actually double click it, I believe, and go into it. Or you can, I think, right click and re-expand it, but in this case I'm pretty confident that that's safe. We will go in there if we have a problem. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to have my filter, my next filter is going to be which one of these guys is my closest. Okay, so I'm going to have a variable, and I'm going to say closest distance here. Okay, and that is going to be an integer and is not going to be a array. We don't need that to be an array, and we'll do that here. Actually, not an integer. Sorry, it's going to be a float. Okay, and let's go ahead and compile that. So we're doing this here, and we get the decimal points, and our closest distance is going to default to 1,000. Okay, so what we're going to do is get that, and now, oh wait, I forgot something here. let's pull out our list of objects here. So if it was greater than 0, we're going to do a for each here. Okay, we got to check them all. We don't want to just check one thing. Now we check first, are we within view tolerance, and then we're going to get distance again, distance 2, and we're going to check, is this less than our closest distance the other actor is our array element here, okay, because this contains all of our objects that we've already pre-filtered. Okay, we need a branch. If it is less than the closest distance, what we're going to do is hold Alt. We're going to set this. That's our new closest distance. Okay, so basically, if it's 800 units away, is it less than 1,000? Yes. Okay, so that closest distance is now 800 units away. We check the next element. That one's 600 units away. Is that closer? Yes. Now our closest distance is 600 units. Okay, and we move forward. And now the last thing that I need, maybe one of the last things that I need, is my actual lock-on target. That is going to be a character. Okay, and it is not going to be an array, it's going to be a single element. We're going to set our lock-on target to be this element. So let's just go ahead and reroute this guy. Okay, let's be anal for a second. It's always fun. So that's what we're doing here. So let's review that really quick. Okay, we got our first checklist. If that list actually has some value, some length, if it means there's an object in the list, we're going to check each one. First, we're going to check if it's in view. Remember, is in view. That's that graph right here that does the delta rotation. We're going to get the distance to see if it's closer than what our closest distance is. Okay, and if true, we're going to do that, set that distance so that we can keep updating this value so that we can find the one that is closest. And each time we do that, we'll reset the lock-on target, because if it isn't closer, if the first one that we check is, say, 200 units away, that just happened to be the first one we got, then the rest are 4, 5, and 6, they'll never get through. We have already, because we're on the next, each here, we're on the next element index, we've officially lost track of the one that was closest, so we have to do this each time, okay? Assuming that it passes that check. All right. Okay. So there is one more thing that we want to do, because we are cycling through targets here. The last thing we want to do is get the one we've already got. So what we're going to do is we're going to say get lock-on target, type equals object. And we're only going to care about this guy if it doesn't equal. We could just say not equals and thrown it out of the true. Doesn't make any difference. Okay. So is the lock-on target, which will have a value here, the next time we hit the button, if it equals the element here, it means it's already the one we got. So it's not, that's not the one we want. Okay. We fail out of here basically, and we do nothing. Now the last thing that we want to do when we're done is let's go ahead and see, what did we call this? Material billboard here. Okay, so that's not coming up. It should have already been cast. Oh, it's cast to character, and character doesn't have the material billboard. My character has material billboard. So in this case, as you can see, where you can get to a little bit of trouble. So what I'm actually going to do is instead I'm going to cast to my character. If that fails, Well, that won't fail though, because it will cast to that. So is it valid? Cast here, and now I need to do this and this here. Again, that's a little sloppy, right? You got nodes crossing over nodes. Should probably reroute that. But I need to cast to my character, and once I do that, it's to compile so that it knows that. Now I should be able to get material. Billboard? Come on, Billboard, where is you? Get editor billboard skill. Okay, why is that not showing up? Okay, what's going on now is because I changed the cast, this LockOn list here is now incorrect because it's looking for character. Okay, so I actually need to, the lock target list, this isn't going to work anymore because I actually can't, what's kind of weird because this as my character does allow me to put that in there. I don't want to do too many casts. So basically what I want to do is get rid of that. And am I using that anywhere else? Let's go ahead and disconnect that and that for now. Now does that allow me to do this? Let me compile that. No. Okay, it looks like I have to delete this. So a bit of an oversight because I forgot that character doesn't. I would need to go to the character class and add the reticule there, the target reticule. So what I'm actually going to do instead is I'm just going to go ahead and let's see here as my character. Let me see if I can make array. And then I will promote that to a variable, and that should be my character. Okay, so this is going to be lock target list. Okay, and now I don't need to get that anymore, or that. I have it set here, my character array. Okay, so we'll throw that in there, and we'll throw that in there. Okay, and it's still firing that. And we'll throw that in there and in there. Basically anywhere we see the little blue square. Let's go ahead and throw a compile there. No errors. Now let's see, can we... I still can't get it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this LockOn Target Reticule. Okay, I'm going to compile that. Still can't see it. Get lock on target. So it shows it here. It's going to drag this. I know this is off screen, but it does allow me to get it from here. So the lock target list is only allowing for that, and it's my character coming in. So that should be what I've got here. So I'm actually going to do this for each loop again, just to trip the rift on that guy, because sometimes that actually can freak things out. And now it's actually on that list. Okay. Character reference is not compatible with my character reference. Character reference. This should not be character reference anymore. Oh, these are character reference. See, that's, I hate this. I hate this, that it does that. This gets locked in to character reference. It should like just update. I don't know. I guess it's better. Keeps you on your toes. I got something totally in the way. Okay, reroute. node here. So another reroute node here. Okay, so that was the problem. This was a character reference, and now it's a my character reference. So it was the reroute node that was tripping me up. I always forget that it does that. That it gets, like when you create something, it kind of locks in the type, and it never allows for any other type to get put in there, even when you decide to change it later. Which I guess is good. So I'm just going to type hidden. Set hidden in game. Skardushki and not hidden. Now the problem is, right, the way it's working right now is that it's going to turn them all on, but we never turn anything off. Okay. Also, the other thing that we're adding all of these things, but we're never removing anything from our list. Okay. We don't have any kind of check to see if we're removing anything or stuff like that. So if we play it right now, it will actually work, but the problem will be, well, did it work? It didn't work. Okay, let's kind of investigate why it's not working at first. Okay, that's hooked in equals, well, we're not checking this correctly anyway, and we're not doing this. So I forgot all that stuff. Okay, 1. See how it never changes? I can't do any changes. I can't do anything. So there's a couple things that we're missing. Oh god, I hate that. Number 1, every time we do the closest distance, we never actually reset that. Okay, so what we want to do is when we first do this, we want to reset our closest distance every time we hit the button back to 1,000. Because we want to, remember, every time we hit the button, we want to figure out what's closest to us. And remember, we're only skipping the one that we just had. Okay. Now, this isn't going to work perfectly because in the case of like 100 items, it's going to kind of ping pong between 2 of them for the most part. It's going to get the one that's closest to us, then it's going to get the one that's next closest to us. Then that's no longer going to equal, the one that was closest is no longer going to equal this. So the real way to do it, I may try it, is that we would need to populate a second list of lock-on targets, right? That way we can kind of go through the indices. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there is, and this is unfortunate, there is no sort. Okay, and the Epic guys said that they don't think that we need it, and I highly disagree. I highly disagree. I think that being able to sort based on certain criteria is important. And they were saying, oh, well, it gets too confusing because there's too many parameters for sorting. But in actual fact, there's not. If we did this as if each of these guys was a struct, then each index element would contain a set of data. Say, here's my name, here's my distance, here's my strength, here's my girth, whatever you wanted to do there, right? And then you should be able to say, hey, sort this array of structs based on this entry, which would be, say, distance, and do it in numerical order, do it ascending or descending, right? If you do it alphabetically, it should be alphabetical, and stuff like that. You should be able to drop down just a few types of sorts to say, hey, I want it numerical, I want it descending, I want it alphabetical. Done. That would be it. And it would be super handy because then I could sort this, I could sort an array based on a distance. But I do think that there's a way to say insert something in front or insert something in rear. I'm going to have to look that up before I do it, because then we could, based on the distance, if it's not less than, we could move it at the end. If it is less than, we can move it at the front of an array. And then when we're finally done, we could cycle through the arrays, saying, okay, based on distance, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes all the way to the end and then reverts back. I forget what you call that. So there's a name for it, a type of value that goes through something, and then when it gets to the end, it restarts without needing code to do that, to say, you know, hey, is my index over my length -1? Then if it is, go ahead and set my index back to 0. That's the code way of doing that. So the other thing that we want to do is we need to run a complete new check here. Let's just see where we're at here. Let's just see what we get. Okay, so you can see that now we're able to turn them on. I can't turn this guy on because he's not closer, but if he's closer than any of the others, I think it'll turn on. No, apparently he's not able to turn on, but none of them turn off, right? So I've got all of these lock-on targets. So I need to go through and do a little bit on my array before I go anywhere. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to run a sequence. Let's just organize this a little bit. I'll pull this way down here. So this in essence is kind of a sequence, right? Because it's going to do all of this stuff for every item, and then it's going to complete, and it's going to come. That would be the then. So it would make no difference if I said do this and then replaced what comes out of completed here with this. That would be the exact same thing. Okay, literally the exact same thing. But this is just kind of a handy way of doing that. So we're gonna do the same basic thing here. We're just gonna grab this. So before we run any checks, we're gonna run a little bit of criteria here on our lock-on target stuff here. Okay, again, the first time we hit it, this will fail right here because the length is 0. There's nothing in there. But now what we're going to do is we're going to run a check here on each one of these guys, and we're going to say get distance to and we're going to run this check. Is it less than our max lock-on range? Actually, for each, before we do that for each, we are going to see if that's all the way down here. Yes. We're going to get this, and for every single one, we are going to set them to hidden. So it turns any one of them that are off. Okay. You could say, hey, is it hidden first and check? But we don't care. We just want them all off. Okay. Once it goes through the whole code, it will turn the correct one back on. All right. Now we're going to run a distance here. Let's run a branch. Okay. Is it less than my max lock-on range? If not, what we want to do is we want to remove that item. Okay, we want to remove that from the list. So basically if it goes out of range, we're going to remove it so the next time we hit it. Let's give that a test really quick. Okay, it looks they all went on, so that's not correct. Right now it's ping-ponging. So I hit F once, he goes on. I hit F again, he goes on. This one didn't go off, so there's something wrong here. So after we run our check, we may actually want to do this. I believe we probably want to do this earlier than this. We want to do this here. Okay, before we do anything, we definitely want to reset this. But I think what we want to do is we want to do this before we run a sphere trace on anything. Okay, so as long as that's greater than 0 for each branch, if it's not less than, we're going to remove it from the lock-on list. So it should clear the list in all cases. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, I'm still feeling like this guy, I'm not able to get him ever locked on ever. So it feels a little buggy. So we need to investigate. We're getting 2 at the same time because I think they're equidistant. There's no way. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that obnoxious trace now. I mean, I know I'm seeing them all. Okay, so I'm gonna pause and take a second to review just to see what's going on, see if I can't figure out why I'm getting 2 of them showing up at the same time, which shouldn't happen. So let me just review that really quick and then I'll be right back. Okay, I haven't found the problem yet, but I do know that there's one thing that I want to do. Basically, I only want to go forward with this part of the chain. Oops, just click this and hold B and click. Yeah. I only want to go forward this part if that's greater than 0, which means I don't care if I don't trace anything, I don't need to do this, right? However, I need a sequence here because I do want to still cycle through this, which means I'm going to go ahead and kill that. And the reason for that is because if I didn't trace anything in my view, I still want to cycle through the targets that I have if I didn't trace anything new. Which might be incorrect, but I think that this is relatively safe to do. I only say relatively. Okay, so I still haven't figured out why I'm getting more than 1 here. Let's see, so if our length is greater than 0, we move forward, we check every single one of them. Is it already our lock-on target? If not, if our lock-on target equals the array element, that's correctly hooked up. Is it in view? And we get the distance. Is it less than that? Then closest distance. If it is, we set the closest distance to check on the next guy. And we set the target and we set, oh, I see. I see why I'm getting more than 1. Okay, I can't do this yet. I can't do this yet. This can't do this here. I have to do it here. Is lock on target? Oh, lock on target's the wrong type. Ah, that's a good part of the problem too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rename this to LockOn Target 2. That'll rename all these. I'm going to make a new variable here that's just called LockOn Target. I found that this is the faster way, and this is going to be my character. That's a big part of the problem too. So let's compile that. And the nice thing is that what we can do is we can actually say, if you put it to the left, you can change the node. See, it says change node. If you put it here, it says make, but if you put it right on the left here, it says change. So you can actually replace the variable. Just make sure there's no other spot for me using that. Yeah, that changing of the my character to my character kind of threw me for a loop here. So now I should be able to delete that variable. And I think I can hook that in now. Okay, we do that at the end, and the reason is because, hey, if the first one was closer, we set that to on, and then we check the next one, is he closer, and then we set that one to on. That's not correct, right? Because then we're going to get more than one of them being on. We need to wait until we're done and only do it to the final lock-on target. That's why we're going to come out of completed here and set it here. Alright, let's give that a Testy McTesterson here. Okay, he's on. He's on. Okay, he should definitely get locked on. He should. Okay, it's not working perfect yet. Still got a little bit of logistical errors. Jamming on the button. I'm no longer receiving any new casts. I just cannot seem to get this guy in the front. If I hit F, they should all go off. Am I resetting the distance properly? I feel like the distance is not being updated properly. What? Okay, so I'm gonna skip this check for now. I'm wondering if this is causing me issues. Okay, when I'm here, it worked between those two guys. Like I said, this method is gonna ping pong, but this one doesn't work. I can finally get him on. Yeah, I really do feel like when I hit F, see, every time I hit it, it should get reset. I'm gonna investigate a little bit further. Okay, I haven't found the cause yet, but I just want to show you guys a check that I'm doing to try to narrow it down. I'm going to do the whole thing, and then when I'm done, I'm going to print the length of this target list. Now remember, the first thing I do is I go through the whole list. I set these all to hidden. I check their distance if they're too far away. If they are, I remove them, which means, okay, is their distance less than the lock-on range, right? If not, false, remove that item and then go ahead and print the distance. But here's what I'm getting. So when I come here, I get a print screen of 4. Now when I go too far away, which is like way over here in this corner, I now have 2, and it prints the distance for those. And you can see the distance is 2,500. They're all out of range. 0, and now it's just 0. But why is that counting down first 2 takes off 2 of them, and then it doesn't do the rest. That is what I'm trying to figure out now. I gotta have something squirrels going on here. This is fine. I set all those to hidden. For each, there should be 4 in there when I hit the button. The length is greater than 0, so I do go through and do this. There's 4 of them in here. The first one should fail the distance check and get removed. The second one should do the same thing. Get the distance to myself. I'm wondering if this distance here is not a good version. Maybe I should subtract their locations and get the vector length instead. But it still doesn't. It's still, I mean, it's returning. You can see when I print this, it's returning 2700. Max lock-on range here is defaulted to 1000. So that's definitely causing them to get removed, but it's removing them one at a time. Well, it's weird because it first removes 2 of them, then it removes 1, then it removes the last one. So I'm kind of tripping out on this right now. I'm sure there's a logical explanation, but I can't imagine that there's anything. I'm glad I got this in here now, because now I can see the root problem. They're not getting all removed from the list properly here. Also, they're not getting these sets off. Loop body for each loop, and that is looking for a my character reference. See, sometimes when you change these things don't actually update. So I'm actually going to recreate this lock target list for each loop, for each element in this index. Okay, I've also got, this says array of wildcards. I don't know if that's, does that always happen? Remove item. Yeah, that always happens. Okay. I don't really need to print that distance anymore. I know being in that corner is too far away. Let's see if recreating any of those things did me any good. So I got 4. 2, 1, 0. That is freaking me out. Is there something that's causing this to not loop through all of them? I'm never resetting the range. Is there, for some reason, remove not a good thing to do here? Because it should remove the element after it fails this, all the way down to 0, which it does do, but it doesn't do it on the loop, for each loop. And this is not a for each with a break, so there's no break. It's going to check them all. So why aren't each and every one of them being removed? That's my freak out. So I'm going to end this video. I will have a new part. I'm going to investigate what's going on. When I come back and figure it out, I'll tell you guys what was wrong. Again, I really don't know at this point. This whole thing right here should be working, but for some reason this is failing to go through. It's almost like as soon as I remove 2 of them, I kick out of this for each and just go forward instead of doing them all. Remove all instances of item from array. It's just really weird. So worst case scenario, I'm going to populate a new array only if this is the case, then clear this. But that I shouldn't have to do that. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next part. Sorry that I don't know what the hell's going on, but that's part of it, right? Got to figure out how to fix this stuff. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and thanks for watching.